It was a machine unlike anything the world had ever seen. A beast of steel, monstrous in size and power, moving across the battlefield with terrifying authority. The King Tiger, the Tiger II, was designed to dominate, to strike fear into every soldier who saw it. And yet, behind its armored walls, the men who operated it often feared it more than the enemy. Germany, 1943. The tide of the war had begun to turn. The Wehrmacht, once unstoppable, was now faltering on both the eastern and western fronts. In Russia, the harsh winter and the relentless Soviet counterattacks had bled the German army dry. On the western front, the Allies had taken Italy and were pushing northward. For Adolf Hitler, there was no question, if Germany was to reclaim its momentum, it would have to unleash weapons of unimaginable power. Hitler became obsessed with the idea of the Wunderwaffe, miracle weapons. Each design promised superiority, a technological breakthrough that could reverse the fortunes of the Reich. Amid these dreams of steel and fire, one project stood above all. A tank so massive, so heavily armored, and so powerful that it could shrug off enemy fire and destroy anything that opposed it. The Tiger I had already made its mark. Its 88mm gun legendary, its armor imposing, but it was fragile. Slow, prone to mechanical failure, and expensive beyond reason. It was a marvel of terror, yes, but a flawed one. Hitler wanted more, bigger, deadlier, more unstoppable. By mid-1943, two companies were competing to meet this vision, Henschel and Porsche. Porsche proposed an ambitious, experimental design, an electric transmission system that promised revolutionary power, but proved volatile and prone to fire. Henschel, more conservative, focused on reliability, though it would mean a tank of unprecedented weight and size. After months of testing and debate, the Henschel design was selected. This machine, weighing nearly 70 tons, would come to be feared across battlefields from Normandy to the Eastern Front. It would be called the Tiger II. Imagine standing on the muddy fields of Germany, 1944. Factories in Kassel hum with the sound of hammers, welding torches, and the endless stamping of steel plates. Each Tiger II required more than 70 tons of steel, an engine that strained under its own mass, and a gun capable of piercing nearly any Allied armor at distances exceeding 2 kilometers. Skilled laborers worked tirelessly, often under the threat of Allied bombings, to assemble these iron leviathans. Each one was a marvel of engineering and a logistical nightmare. The Tiger II's armor was revolutionary. The frontal plates were sloped to deflect shells, reaching 180 millimeters thick, enough, on paper, to render even the mightiest Allied tanks harmless. Its 88mm KWK-43L71 gun could destroy tanks and fortifications long before the enemy could return fire. Yet, for all its power, the Tiger II demanded perfection in operation. The engine, a Maybach HL23, P30, the same used in the Tiger I, was now responsible for moving an additional 10 tons of steel. Overheating, transmission failure, and immobilization were constant threats. A German crewman later recalled, "You prayed not for victory, you prayed that the gearbox would hold." Inside the tank, the environment was suffocating. Temperatures soared, the smell of fuel and cordite mingled with metal and sweat, and every mission could become a death sentence not from enemy fire, but from mechanical failure. The Tiger II was a paradox, a fortress on tracks that could devour the enemy, yet betray its own crew at any moment. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, Soviet forces continued their relentless advance. The winter of 1943 was brutal. Snow, mud, and artillery fire, transforming the battlefield into a quagmire. The first Tiger IIs rolled off the production lines and onto railcars bound for the front. Soldiers and officers watched with awe as these behemoths appeared, their sheer size dwarfing any tank the Soviets had encountered. The appearance of a Tiger II on the horizon could halt an entire column of infantry and tanks. But no one knew, not even its creators, the full cost of fielding such a machine. The first operational units discovered quickly that the Tiger II, while seemingly invincible, was fragile in its own way. A broken transmission could strand it in the mud, fuel shortages could render it immobile, and bridges often could not support its weight. On the battlefield, its imposing silhouette was both a weapon and a vulnerability. One report from the Eastern Front described the King Tiger's debut in combat. It rolled forward, and enemy fire glanced harmlessly off its armor. But by midday, half the unit was abandoned, immobilized by broken gears or lack of fuel. For the Germans, it was a bitter irony. They had designed the ultimate tank capable of striking terror into the Allies, yet it demanded a level of care and attention that the chaos of war could rarely provide. Crews became acutely aware of this fragile perfection. Some soldiers joked that the Tiger II had a mind of its own. It might destroy the enemy with one hand while killing its own crew with the other. Imagine a Tiger II moving slowly along a muddy road in Normandy or the Ardennes. Its tracks dig deep ruts into the earth. Every turn is a struggle. Smoke belches from its engine as mechanics struggle to keep it moving. Yet, when it opens fire, the results are devastating. British Shermans, American Pershings, and Soviet T-34s fall before it, their armor shredded. The battlefield is a mixture of awe and terror, the ultimate weapon that is as unpredictable as it is unstoppable. Allied intelligence struggled to comprehend this new threat. Reports flooded in, shells bouncing off, vehicles disappearing under precise 88mm shots, infantry unable to approach without being cut down. In every sense, the Tiger II lived up to its legend, terrifying, lethal, and seemingly indestructible. But what happened next shocked both sides. The very design that made the Tiger II nearly unbeatable, its weight, its complexity, also made it prone to failure. In mud, snow, or under relentless artillery, the Tiger II often became a stationary target. Crews abandoned their tanks, not because they had been destroyed by the enemy, but because they could no longer move. A marvel of engineering had become a nightmare to operate. Soldiers who fought in or alongside the Tiger II developed a complex relationship with it. Pride mixed with dread. They respected its power, marveled at its engineering, but feared every mission. One commander reflected, "We rode a god on tracks, yet every mile was a gamble. You didn't know if you would reach the front or die inside your own tank." Meanwhile, Allied forces devised strategies to neutralize the King Tiger. Flanking maneuvers, artillery targeting tracks, and airstrikes became essential. No weapon, no matter how powerful, could operate without vulnerability. The Tiger II was a lesson in paradox, unmatched in design, yet doomed by circumstance. By the end of 1944, fewer than 500 had been produced. They were scattered across collapsing fronts, Eastern Europe, France, and the Ardennes. Many were captured, abandoned, or destroyed. What remained were monuments of steel, symbols of a dream taken too far. And yet, even in failure, the Tiger II left a mark on history. Soldiers remembered it. Historians studied it. Engineers marveled at its design. It was the ultimate tank, terrifying, brilliant, and flawed in ways that only the chaos of war could reveal. The story of the Tiger II is not just one of steel and fire. It is the story of human ambition, of obsession with perfection, and of soldiers caught between genius and disaster. What happened next on the battlefields of Normandy and the Ardennes would test the limits of both men and machine.